Peace and blessings, family. Once again, it's time for me to check in for a bit with another edition of Spiritual Food for Thought. So I always say, family, I hope all is well in your relationship with the Creator. Family needs to be the most important thing that should be our number one concern in this hour especially. We need to understand how the Creator sees us. Because as we're able to see ourselves through His eyes, we truly begin to understand the reality that it's all He ever wanted was a relationship with us. And also, by that relationship, family, we come to understand as well that all He ever wanted us to be is ourselves, but with the understanding of His mind. This is what we know as being made one with our Creator. And see, the kingdom of heaven is as all of us who are His creation understand our purpose and our place. And we understand what the Father sees and look when He looks at us, as I say, He sees us as the finished product. But also realizing that, it's like you got to take His hands off because we have to go through this process of being made. And that's what I'm saying, like now where we are in this realm of sin and death and light and darkness and good and evil, we're being made to understand the reality, family, that the only way that the Father could truly manifest and prove the existence of His Spirit in us, family, is that we have to be tried and tested. So as I said, family, this is our creation process. And this is something that must take place because, family, there ain't no hocus pocus. And excuse me, and nothing that appears out of thin air, because everything that truly exists, family, there's a process. And so this realm of time and space in which we exist in, that our consciousness is in right now, this is where we are being made, shaped, and formed. And ultimately, family, is through the revelation of the Spirit of our Creator gives us the understanding of ourselves. Because, family, our biggest enemy is the darkness and the ignorance that we walk in. And it's really all because of what we've been told and what we've been taught by this world. And so the thing we need to understand, family, is that we need to understand ourselves through the eyes of our Creator. Because the things of this world, it's just been one big lie, one big deception. And, because of the mind of our flesh, it's a fallen nature. And as I said, we operate, at a lower frequency. And so this is what caused us to really walk in a beast-like nature. And as I said, a beast-like nature has no regard for other things around it because it's totally consumed with the spirit of pride, which causes us to desire to please our flesh. As I've said in the past, family, there's a difference between the soul and the spirit. And see, the soul is the spirit of our senses of sight, touch, taste, smell, and hearing. And so this is how we get our information. Okay, this is how we learn and we experience and all these things, because the information that we get from our senses, family, actually shapes our perception. And so, as I've said, family, in our flesh is something different from our spirit. And this is why I'm saying the soul and spirit is not the same thing. And as I say one more time, family, the soul is the spirit of our senses. And what's wrong, family, until we receive the mind of our Creator under the spirit of His divine love that gives us all understanding and ultimately make us one. So this is why we have to be born that second time. It talks about being born again. It means to be brought into the understanding of who we are and our purpose according to the divine will of the Creator. Understanding the reality, family, that all He ever wanted from us is to be ourselves, but with the understanding of His mind. And that's only going to happen, family, as we have dialogue with the Creator. we have to commune with the Creator ourselves, because nobody else can tell you about the Creator's will for your life. This is something that the Creator desires to tell us himself. What's a better deal, family, than having actually dialogue and communication with the source of everything that we are and who we are? We were made to ultimately serve the Creator in spirit and truth, and glorify the Creator through the spirit of divine love that binds us all together. But see, we'll never come together and come into that oneness, family, until we know ourselves. And so this is why we must have that dialogue with the Creator to understand ourselves, so we can truly see what needs to change in our lives. What we need to understand that's going to help us to move forward in our creation process. So, with that said, family, before I go on, I just want to make my little disclaimer. I'm not no teacher. I'm not no preacher, no prophet, no kind of spokesman as far as having any preeminence over you. Okay? Because the bottom line is, all I'm trying to do, family, is encourage you. You got to seek the Creator for yourself. And we all have to understand, family, it's the most important thing to us, because that's the source. That's the beginning of all. That's our foundation, family. This is going to ultimately empower us to be born of the Spirit, and ultimately one day, as we become one with our Creator ourselves, that means that we become everything that the Creator desires us to be. Okay? Because all of us are just one expression of everything that the Creator is. And so as we understand that reality, family, we come to the place where we accept ourselves as far as what the Creator and who He's making us to be, and understanding that the Creator has us in a process where we're being birthed in the Spirit. Well, ultimately, one day, family, as He makes us one with Him, we're going to become one with Him, each other, our fellow creatures, and Mother Earth, who He brought us all forth from, such is the kingdom of heaven. It's a time, family, we understand our purpose and our place. So as we are born and made spiritually alive, family, we're no longer run by our flesh, by the spirit of our senses. Okay? So, family, we must understand, family, that the Creator meant for us to understand things, family. This is why the charge to us is, in all you're getting, get understanding. Because He never desired for us to learn or believe anything by faith, because faith is believing something that we fully don't understand. And so as we continue to do those things, family, it causes us to be distracted. And so we're being lied to, and we're deceiving ourselves as we accept believing things that we don't understand, because the Creator didn't wire us this way. The Creator wired us, family, to understand things. Because once we understand things, family, that's when we can truly say we believe, because it makes sense to us. Even our very soul, the spirit of our senses line up with the divine truth of the Creator's absolute truth under the spirit of divine love that makes us one. So, family, with that said, what I want to touch on right quick is a little quick topic. Okay, talk about a soul winner, okay? When we talk about a soul winner, what are we actually talking about? Churches and Christianity and these different religious organizations, they say that we have to be soul winners. Well, my question is this. If we don't understand, first of all, what the soul is and what's being accomplished through the soul, how can we talk about being a soul winner? Because in the first place, until we are changed and delivered by the understanding of our Creator, by His Spirit, this is the only way that we are delivered. Okay? In truth, family, the only soul winner is the Spirit of the Creator. It ain't no man. You know what I'm saying? Because the reality, family, we are affected by our perception. And in reality, family, if we don't really understand what's going on, if we don't have an absolute truth of understanding of what we're dealing with, family, how can we talk about being a soul winner? Because we're lost. And as long as we continue to be manipulated through our senses and this desire that we have to be pleased for pleasure, because as I said, we are slave to our senses for the experience of pleasure. That's what we are enslaved to in our flesh. The only thing that can free us from that, family, is the Spirit of the Creator that gives us the divine understanding that we need to even understand what we're dealing with and whether the desire that we have is appropriate. You know what I'm saying? So this is one of the reasons why I say it's so important, family. We have to understand what our Creator is doing in our lives. We got to, because family, we have to understand ourselves. And our biggest enemy is our perception of ourselves in the spirit of pride. It causes us really to deify our own self. And as we deify our own desires, family, and we just basically being run by this lust for pleasure. So we don't have time to meditate or think about really things that really matter. You know, asking those kind of questions like, you know, why am I here? Even more so, why do I even believe what I believe? You know what I'm saying? And the reality is, family, we all can honestly say, if we be honest, okay, be for real, we believe what we believe because of what we've been told. You know, whether it's by word of mouth, out of another person's mouth, or through the literature or propaganda, which is in books and in all types of media, where knowledge is being shared, okay? And so the bottom line is, family, if it doesn't make sense, then we can't believe it. And we're lying to ourselves when we say we believe things that we don't understand. And you know, when I say the term makes sense, it's like the truth of the Spirit is so divine and perfect. Under the spirit of divine love, family, our senses ultimately come into agreement with the mind of understanding that we have as far as the Creator is concerned. So then the things that we're learning and understanding through the power of the Spirit, family, it makes sense to us. And once it makes sense to us, family, we can't go against the things that make sense. Okay? Because, you know, as I've said, family, one of the reasons that I understand now that that our makeup, okay, the way we learn and all of these things is through experience. You know, word of mouth is just to really get us to start thinking about the thing that we heard or we seen or that we're experiencing. Okay, but we are supposed to take everything that comes to our mind and run it through our spirit man. And if it doesn't line up with the absolute truth of the Creator, that under the spirit of his divine love that makes us all one, because as we become one with our Creator, ultimately we become one with each other. Okay, because the same Spirit is operating in us all, his children, as he's birthing us in the Spirit. So basically, at this, where we are right now, we are being brought to that place that we understand that this is the process of our creation, and we are being created right now, okay, as we experience this realm of the flesh. You know, the battle of good and evil, light and darkness, all these things. We must experience these things, family, because until we experience them, as I said, there's no teacher higher than experience, because that's how we learn, as we go through things. And so we must understand the mind of our Creator and what the Creator thinks about what we're doing. And if it don't line up with the spirit of divine love, if it's an action that causes us to cut off the flow of life, that's the spirit of death. And, and as I've been saying, family, this existence that we're in right now in our flesh, as we're being created, this is the realm of death, because death is anywhere or any place or system order that's in opposition to the spirit of divine love that makes us one. Okay? So, death is the spirit. It's like death is the spirit of darkness. Okay? It causes us to operate in a way that's opposite from the divine will of the Creator. Okay, so this is why we must understand what's going on right now. Because in reality, family, as the Father continues to teach us and show these truths, family, we really begin to understand the urgency of the hour that we're in. Because the way this world is going and the way things are going, family, this world cannot continue to exist in this type of darkness, where we're on the brink of destruction, because, when I say, man is under the influence of the serpent, the mind of the serpent, which is our beast nature, that causes us only to be concerned about things that please us, that gratify our senses. Okay, but the bottom line is, family, as I said, we need to understand the Creator and how he perceives us, because as he sees us as the finished product, but yet he understands that he has to let us go through this experience, because it's as we experience these things, family, this is how we learn. And as we learn, we're converted. You know what I'm saying? So the bottom line is, as I said, family, we got to understand truly, when we talk about being a soul winner, the soul has to be put in its place. And it's only through the divine truth of the spirit of our Creator that puts our soul in check, to put it in its proper place. Because where we are right now, family, we're being run by our souls. And until we're born of the Spirit, till we receive the spirit of the Creator, family, that's exactly what's going on. So it's the power and the understanding of the Creator, family, that causes us to put our soul in check. Because if we're not walking in the Spirit, we're walking in the flesh. And the flesh is driven to do the things that it does because it's called lust. The lust for pleasure. The lust for knowledge. Because, another thing with knowledge, family, knowledge without understanding, it's a weapon of mass destruction. See, this is why it's through the wisdom of the Creator that he shows us. That's what makes sense of the things that we're dealing with. So we know what's in season, what's out of season, what we should do, what we shouldn't do. All of these things. It's how the Creator empowers us, family, to walk in his divine truth. And as I said, family, it ain't going to be too much longer that eventually, family, with the mighty work that the Father is doing in us, and making us one with him, eventually, family, we're going to walk away from this world as we've known it, because this world is the total opposite to the kingdom of heaven. You know what I'm saying? This existence here is not subject to the laws of the Creator, because us in our carnality, we can't even, the things of the Spirit and the kingdom, it don't make sense. That's why we can't be subject to it in our flesh. This is why we have to be born again of the Spirit of our Creator that gives us the understanding of our Creator's mind, so we can see ourselves through the eyes of the Creator in spirit and in truth, and under the spirit of divine love. And as we walk in that place, we then reverence what the Creator is telling us, because it all makes sense and it fits. And so since we were wired to only believe things we understand, this is what solidifies our belief. Because as we understand, family, that's when we can truly say we believe. Because if we don't understand, family, we're lying to ourselves. We're lying to the world around us as well. You know what I'm saying? And as I've said in the past, what's better or a better way to receive the understanding or the divine truth of the Spirit that truly gives us a reason and a purpose for even being here. Because the bottom line is, one of the tricks of the powers of darkness, it keeps us distracted. So we don't know how to be still and quiet, that the Creator will then minister to us. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like in our flesh is driven by a spirit of fear. Okay? And so the bottom line is, that's why the flesh don't know how to be still and quiet and all these things. The flesh doesn't know how to meditate. It's only through the divine spirit of the Creator that causes us to meditate. And the thing, we talk about meditation, family, we just talking about thinking. Reasoning, all of these things to try to get an understanding of what we're really dealing with. This is how the Creator wired us to function, family. So we need to get this thing, family. People talking about winning souls. The only soul winner is the Creator. We can't deliver ourselves, family. So what makes us think we go around winning souls when we don't even know what and who we are and what we really doing? The only soul winner is the Creator. And he wins souls, because to win a soul is to put the soul in its place, where the soul is not dictating to us what we do and the choices we make. Because as we are slaves to our senses, family, ultimately our senses lead us to that place where we feel something. Because basically we make our decisions in our flesh, based on how we feel. And that's an awful deception. We need to understand the Creator's perception of what we're dealing with. And as we're able to understand that, family, those feelings get put in their place. Because then if we be honest with ourselves, when we look back and we made an emotional decision, we can honestly look back and say, you know what? That wasn't the right decision. It wasn't the right move. Because when we make decisions, family, it should be when we in our right mind. We had an understanding. We need to understand what we're dealing with. So as we understand these things, family, it empowers us to make the right choice, an informed and understood choice, because the ways of the kingdom make sense. Okay? So, people can continue to talk about being a soul winner, but family ain't one soul winner, and that's the Creator. And how he wins souls is as he gives us our portion of the Spirit to give us the understanding we need to understand what we're dealing with, what the Father is saying to us. You know what I'm saying? So as we understand, family, as we come to understand what we're dealing with, family, we make a choice with a sound mind. Because a sound mind means balanced. It means complete. All these things. And emotions cannot be a thing that causes us to make decisions. You know what I'm saying? We got to be in our right mind. And this is the beauty of the Spirit. It puts us in our right mind. You know what I'm saying? Like the one word says, he's not giving us a spirit of fear, but power, love, and a sound mind. So this is why we have to be under the spirit of his divine love that makes us one. And as we understand our oneness, and our oneness with the Creator, and then our fellow creatures, and all these things that have the spirit of the Creator in them. Because as I said, fam, all of us are one expression of everything that the Creator is. But we don't understand that. We don't know it because we've been lied to by the deceptions of the devil that causes us to worship ourselves. And understand, families, the worship is what we do. It's the motivation behind what we do. So if we doing things because of, say expressions of the spirit of divine love, well, it's because we have the nature of Christ, or the nature of the Creator in us, that causes us to walk in love and understanding. Okay? And so anything that's opposing that it's like that's the spirit that's in opposition to the creator. So that's the spirit of Antichrist. And as I said in the past, man, Christ is the creator. Only the one that creates can save and correct and create and all these things that we're experiencing right now. So the bottom line is Christ is not no man, but it's the spirit of the creator. Okay? So, as I said, family, it ain't too much more I got to say about this. Like I said, a soul winner. The only one that truly is a soul winner is the creator. And he wins and for that soul to be won is actually for the soul to be put in its proper place in order. Because basically, what happens with our souls, as we have the understanding of spirits, the soul actually comes into agreement with the perfect will of our creator. So this is why things that's against the creator, these are things that don't make sense. And as they don't make sense to us, family, being truthful, we can't do those things. Because we have come to understand our minds a logical, rational understanding of why this thing is not a good thing. And so as we understand, family, that's what causes us to repent and change. You know what I'm saying? Because we are actually evolving into the children of the Most High Power. Because that's what the kingdom of heaven is when we all become one with the mind of our Creator under the spirit of divine love that will ultimately make us one with the Creator, each other, our fellow creatures, and then Mother Earth, and who we were brought forth from. Such is the kingdom of heaven. So we must be made one with our Creator, because it's the only way we're going to be ultimately made one with each other. But we got to understand what and who we are and what our purpose is and all these things. And we have to, basically stop allowing ourselves to be deceived and distracted by the lies of this world that cause us to seek after things that gratify our senses. Instead of understanding why we're here, what we're supposed to be doing. Why do I believe what I believe? Okay, so we have to understand that the Creator fellowships with us from within. Okay? We have to understand as the Creator put a piece of himself in us, family. That's all it's about. As we are one expression of everything that the Creator is. Just one. You know what I'm saying? But ultimately, the kingdom is going to be made whole when we're made whole. When we understand our purpose and place, family, and we're able to then follow in the ways of our Creator. Okay, so with that said, family, that's all I got to say about that. And I'll just say, I hope I said something to give you something to think about and consider. And I pray that the Most High Power will continue to bless you and keep you and watch out over you and meet your every need as long as you continue to seek and searching for yourself. Because, family, nobody else can tell us how to be ourselves but our Heavenly Father, the Creator, the source of all things, family. So with that said, family, till next time, I'm going to say one love and peace.